this stuff a little bit. It is what it is. So just drop in right here. Just find an easy seated position, sit tall. Just feel yourself begin to settle onto your mat. You can close your eyes, or you can just send your gaze down in front of you, whatever feels more natural. And feel your body, feel the places that energy is moving through easily. Feel the places where there might be a block. Notice any tightness, any freedom. And bring your awareness to your breath. Just notice your breath as it comes in and out. Letting whatever you've been busy with this morning or not busy with this morning drop away. Letting whatever plans you have for the rest of the day, the rest of the week drop away. And just land right here. There's nothing else to do besides be here in this breath right now. Find an aspect of your breath to focus on. Maybe it's the inhale as it just begins to come in the tip of your nose. Or maybe it's the expansion of your ribs, or maybe it's the rise and fall of your belly. And just stay with that for a few rounds of breath. And then just gently draw your shoulders onto your back. And what I find when I do that is when I push my shoulder blades together on my back, my sternum naturally comes forward and lifts. So just explore that. No need to over exaggerate it. Just bring it into play in your body a little bit. And then to build some support for your spinal column, draw your belly button in against your spine and your side belly in towards the center. So sit up nice and tall. Again, those easy contractions there, not just locking it out, but just pulling in so that you sit up a little taller. And then maybe tuck your chin a little bit, send the crown of your head up towards the sky. Let your shoulders drop down away from your ears. And from this place of awareness, just open your eyes, make your way into child's pose. So bring your knees out as wide as it feels like they need to go. I'm going to bring mine out to the edges of the mat. Shift your hips back so your tailbone comes towards your heels. Walk your hands forward. Let your head rest on the mat or on a block. And then revisit what you just did with your breath. Notice your breath coming in and out. Allow your shoulders to come together on your back. Pull your belly button in towards your spine and let yourself sink a little bit here. Maybe just rock a little side to side to enhance a little settling. Spread your fingers wide. Press all of your fingers and all of your palms down firmly into the mat. Feel that connection into the earth and feel that energy coming back from the earth because it's there. And just notice it as it moves up your arms and into those shoulders. And then walk your hands off the mat to the left side. Breathe in some space into your right side body from your pelvis, from your hip all the way up to your ribs, through your ribs, to the tips of your fingers. You can stack that right hand on top of your left if you want. If you want a little bit of twist here, you can lift that right shoulder up and look back under your right armpit. And then walk your hands back through center and off on the other side, on the right side or whichever side you didn't do first. Stacking your left hand on top of your right. And again, you have the opportunity to twist a little bit here if you feel like you want some of that. This really feels good to me to open up that side body, getting prepared for practice.
And as you have that full expansion on the left side, maybe settle your hips down a little bit more towards your heels. And then walk your hands back to the center of the mat. And then bring yourself up into tabletop. We're going to work through a few rounds of cow and cat here, but before you do, ground your hands, okay? Press those palms and all 10 fingers into the mat. Press your knees down into the mat. Press the tops of your feet down into the mat. And then feel that engagement in your belly, softness in your shoulders. And keep pressing in, pressing in. Maybe you engage your belly, lift your knees up just a little bit. Yeah, and then keep that engagement in your belly. Set your knees back down and come through cat as you breathe in and cow as you breathe out. About 5 or 6 of these, just in a nice straight line. Exploring what happens here with that same awareness of your shoulders. Shoulders coming together, heart forward on the cow. Shoulders rolling down towards the floor, maybe even towards your ears. On the cat, sit in the center of your spine. Up. 3 more. Last one. And then come back to center right here. Cross your ankles, roll over, and come on to your back, okay? So, I want you to bring your feet in close to you. So close to your glutes. Maybe your middle fingers can tap the backs of your heels. And then take your hands and press your hands down into the mat. And I want you to begin some gentle bridge. So you're going to move up into bridge and then press back down. So you're not going to interlace your fingers at the top. So you're not going all the way there. You're just lifting your hips, just like a reverse cow and cat. 3 more times. Last one. Now cross your right leg over your left so that your ankle hangs off over your thigh, just above your left knee. So we're going to do 3 of these on the left side. So as you lift up, press that right knee back down towards the floor and find a little hip opening here. But go nice and easy and gentle. And let's do 2 more for a total of 5, I think it'll be. And you can play with a little bit more lift here if you want. And set your hips back down. Spread your arms wide in a T, or you can bring it to cactus arms, and then drop that right foot over to your left side. Take a little look over to your right. Breathe into this, just this gentle twist here. And then inhale back up to center. Switch your leg across. Plant your right foot on the mat in close. Cross your left foot over. Ankle hangs off just above the right knee. And then begin to lift up. Press up. And then back down. 4 more times. Keep that right foot contacted, planted into the mat. Feeling that downward force into the earth. Maybe pressing the left knee down towards the earth a little bit as you lift. 1 more. Set it back down. Spread your arms out nice and wide. Drop to the right side so that left foot comes down off your mat on the right. Look over your left shoulder. Let that right knee settle down towards the floor here. Bring a little opening across your obliques. Make your way back up, plant your feet, come up to seated, and then come into easy cross leg position, right where we started. Take your left hand, put it on your right knee, press your right hand behind you, sit up nice and tall, and gently look back over your shoulder. Continuing to pull that belly button in towards your spine. 3 breaths.
inhale, come back to center. So nice and tall for a breath. And then go the other way. Right hand comes to your left knee, left hand comes behind your spine, under your tailbone. And then inhale, get length all through your spine as you breathe in, and then twist from that spot right below your belly button as you breathe out. Inhale, come back to center, and then make your way into your first downward facing dog. So you can come back to tabletop, working it from there, tuck your toes, press your hips up to the sky, and then press your heels down to the floor. So go ahead and walk your dog if you want. Find a little movement here, just exploring, bringing a little bit of length into the hamstrings. We haven't talked to them yet today. Keeping your grounding up here in your palms. Really press the palms and the fingers into the mat and feel, just like we started, shoulders on your back. Press your heart back towards your heels and then press your heels down towards the floor. Yeah. So find your edge right here, and I don't mean the farthest point you can go. I mean a point where you feel some sensation in your hamstrings. Breathe into that. And then on your inhale, lift your heels up. On your exhale, press your heels back down. Let's do that 4 more times. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, heels come back down, pressing the mat away from you. Inhale. Exhale. Maybe you go a little deeper or find something new each time. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more, I believe. Nice work. Press your heart back into your thighs, towards your thighs, and then walk your hands up towards your, or walk your feet rather up towards your hands. Find your ragdoll here. Find a little sway side to side. Pressing your feet down into the floor. So one of the things that we're working through in this practice is grounding. Every time you have something in contact with the floor, really engage with the floor, engage with the earth, and feel that energy coming back up through your body. So the more you sway here, the more you get into the IT bands. And then come back to stillness. Drop your fingers. If you have a block, set it in front of you, or you can use a book or a water bottle, whatever you have, and set it out so that it's maybe a little bit in front of your head. Plant your hand there, right hand, lift your left arm up, bend your right knee. Yeah, make sure that right foot is at 12 o'clock. Yeah, so Evan, bring your heel, your right heel in a little bit. Yeah, just like that. Look up, reach up, and then exhale, bring it back down. Switch hands, bend the left knee, reach your right arm up to the sky. Let that right shoulder blade drop down, find the left. Press the right foot firmly into the earth. Let's do 1 more each side. Plant your right, lift your left. Breathe length into your spine. Exhale. Yep. And then bring the right down. Set your block aside. And then walk your feet back into plank pose. Come into this nice high plank, your first one of our practice this morning. Press them into the earth with the balls of your feet and with all of your hand. Press back to downward facing dog. Inhale forward into high plank. So shift so that your shoulders are over your wrists and you're on the balls of your feet, maybe even on your toes. Exhale back. Now this time draw your belly in a little tighter so that your pelvic and your pubic bone comes up towards your low ribs, and then shift forward. Feel the power in your belly there. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Then walk your hands back to your feet. Bring your toes closer together. Maybe they touch, maybe not. So hips distance or narrower. And then lift up halfway. So bring your shoulder blades together on your back. Shine your heart down towards the mat. Bring a little length into the back of your neck so that you're looking straight down at the mat. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, reach up. Look at the sky, belly comes into your spine, and then exhale, fold forward. A couple more of those. Move with your breath. Inhale. Shoulders find each other. Exhale, fold. Inhale, bend your knees here to take the strain off your back. Coming all the way up, spread your fingers, look up between them. And then exhale, fold forward.
One more. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise and reach. Exhale, fold. Walk your hands out to the top of the mat. Lift your, come into downward facing dog. Shift back into down dog. Lift your right leg nice and high. Press that left heel down to the floor so you're opening your hips. Bend your knees, stack that left hip or right hip on top of your left. Keep your shoulders square. Stack a little bit more. Then lift that right leg up to the sky. Step your right foot outside of your left. Spin your right foot outside your right hand. Spin your left foot down at a 45-degree angle and walk your hands forward. So beginning to get into your hips just a little bit here. Let your hips settle. You might want to even find some motion side to side and settle in right here. Find some length in your spine. So your ankle is directly underneath your knee. The blade of that left foot presses into the mat. And just let your hips sink in towards the earth. A couple more breaths. Maybe you can find some more lengthening here in your spine. And what I find is as I lengthen my spine, my hips naturally open a little bit. Walk your hands back in so that they're stacked under your shoulder. Spin up onto that left foot. And then reach your right hand to the sky. Now, if you want a little bit of a bind here, open up some more. You can bring the back of your hand against the small of your back. Open up. See the sky. Then shift that arm back up. And then come all the way up into warrior two. So spin that back foot down, all the way up. Look over your right middle finger. So your arms are parallel to the floor. You're looking out over that right middle finger. Reach back. Peaceful warrior. Keep the bend in your knee. And then find your extended side angle. Bring that right forearm to your thigh for this first one. And then send your arm up. And what I've been playing with lately, I'll invite you to do the same, is to send that arm forward so that your bicep comes by your ear. And you're looking up at the sky, so that's going to create some opening across your heart, along your left side body. Reach up and look up. Good. And then inhale, come back up to that warrior two. Straighten your leg. Find your triangle. So you're going to tip over. Bring your right hand down to your left or to your right shin. Or if you have a block, set the block behind you and open up here. Hold for another breath or two. And then on your inhale, come all the way up, bring your hands to your hips, and then step that back foot up so that your hips point straight ahead, okay? So it's gonna look like this. So it's probably gonna be about half the length that you had before in your triangle. So for the first one of these, bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, get nice and tall. Rock back into that left heel. Press the right foot forward so that this leg is engaged, and then hinge at your hips. Fold forward. Sometimes I like to put my thumbs right there because I can feel where I'm bending, and that reminds me to keep shifting my tailbone back to keep the grounding in that left foot. Inhale, come back up. And now find an arm bind. You can do the same thing again, or you can interlace your fingers behind you, or you can find reverse namaste with your hands up your back. That's the most challenging one. Sometimes my arms won't go there, evidently they will this morning. And then nice and high here, shift your hips back as your heart goes forward. Keep your spine as straight as you can. One more breath here. And then release. Step back into high plank. Yeah. Downward facing dog. And then one more time, high plank. This time low plank. Elbows just by your shoulder, or just by your ribs. And then press the tops of your feet into the mat. Come into up dog or cobra. Whichever you're using, bring that belly in towards your spine. And then press your way back to down dog. Maybe walk your dog here. Notice what you're creating. And then lift the left leg. Press the right heel to the floor. Press your heart back towards your right knee. Full extension here. Increase the distance between your heels. Bend your knee. Open your hips towards the left side of the mat. Press your heart back towards your knee. Keep opening, twisting from the belly. Straighten your leg, send it back up, and let's find that down dog lunge. Step your left foot beside your left hand. Spin your right foot down so that the blade of that foot presses into the mat. And then begin to walk your hands forward towards the top right corner of your mat. Let your hips settle. Notice the integrity that you built in your body from the beginning, your belly lock, your easy breath, the softness in your shoulders, and the connection with the floor, with the earth. Just feel that, breathe into it. Two more breaths here, maybe you find a little bit more. And then walk your hands back in, under your shoulders, spin up onto that, to follow the right foot, round your right hand on the mat, and then reach up with your left. So extend your arms up, spread your fingers wide, and if you want to bind, it's here for you, or a little half bind. Now from right here, drive that left heel even more into the mat. Right, or the toes press down into the mat, and from there engage the glute, reach up even farther, and release it. Bring that hand down to the floor, spin the back foot down to the 45, come all the way up into your warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. Shoulders together on your back, belly in towards your spine, look out of your left middle finger. Settle your hips down towards the floor a little bit more here. You're getting warm, so maybe you can do that. That's going to be aided by your connection of the blade of the back foot with the floor. Reach back, peaceful warrior. Keep the hip low. And then find your extended side angle. Left forearm comes to your left thigh. Reach your right bicep up by your ear. Roll back, open your heart. One more breath. Inhale, come up into your warrior two. You're going to turn so you can see me better. Straighten that front leg and then reach for the front of the mat. Yeah. So you're going to tip over, bring your fingertips down to your shin. Down, step your foot a little bit farther forward. Yeah, keep going. Good. And then reach down and put your hand on the block. That's it. Yeah. So reach up, lean back, and then come all the way back up. We're going to do the pyramid pose that we did before. So you're going to step up. Your feet are not parallel to each other. So if you see how I have mine aligned here, they're like this. So they're hips distance apart. They're not one behind the other. Okay? So make sure your hips are square here. That back foot is probably at a 60-degree angle. And bring your thumbs or your hands right there to your hip creases. Send your hips back. Lean forward. Now again, you can find more in this pose by pressing that left foot forward and really pressing that right heel down. That's going to give you the grounding, maybe to fold a little bit more. And on your inhale, come back up. You can do the same thing again, or you can find your arm bind, whatever that looks like for you. Shoulders roll onto your back, heart lifts, and then rock back, ground it, and hinge forward. If you got your fingers interlaced, maybe you lift your arms up off your back even more. That's going to allow your shoulders to come together. Your nose comes towards that left knee. Your choice here whether to keep your spine straight or round a little bit. And then release your bind. Bring your right hand down to a block. Or if you don't have a block, you can bring your right hand to the outside of your left shin and lift your left fingertips up to the side. Nice. Look up, reach up. Good. And then as you release, bring both hands down to the floor, step back into high plank. You know, slow just a little bit. Now that we're warm, we'll build a little bit more heat to low plank. Inhale for up dog or cobra, heart forward. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Take a breath in, let it go. Bend your knees, look to the top of the mat. Hop or step to the top of the mat. Lift halfway, back's flat. Exhale, fold. Inhale, Tadasana, high mountain. Reach up, look up. Exhale, fold forward. Lift halfway. Exhale, step or float back. High to low plank. Inhale for your up dog. Exhale back. Downward facing dog. Nice work. Take a breath in. Breath out. One more sun A, just like that. Bend your knees. See the top of the mat. Go there. Lift up. Fold forward. Rise, reach. Big breath into the top. Fold. Lift halfway. Step or float. Back to your high plank. Hold your high plank right here. So press your way back into your downward facing dog. And then bend your knees. Press your heart back towards your thighs. Make it into a turbo dog. And then press your heels back down. Lift your right leg. Bend your knees. Stack your right hip on top of your left. You've been here before. And either stay right here, or you can lift that right hand and work on some balance, or you can flip your dog. So if you flip your dog, land that right foot off the mat. Left foot comes right by, feet pointed 12 o'clock towards the back of the mat. Reach forward, send your hips to the sky. Over 3, find some more expansion here. 2, 1, and release it. Come back to downward facing dog. Shift forward into high plank. Drop your right knee under your hip, and then open up into this supported or modified side plank. So there are a lot of ways to come into it. I want you to start here. So press the blade of that back foot into the mat. Send your heart or your left shoulder back so it opens your heart. Send your arm up. And then from there, if you want, you can lift that leg. You can play with that, or you can keep it right where it is. Hold for another breath. Lean back a little bit more wherever you are. Good. And then release it. Come back down. Find your high plank again. And then for this one, we're going to just roll over onto the blade of the right foot. You can drop your knee again and then come into the side plank. And then any other add-on, any version that you want, you can lift that top leg if that's part of your practice or you want it to be. Hold for 3, 2, 1, and release it. Come back to high plank, and then press back downward facing dog. So one more thing to play with a little bit on this side. Lift your right leg, and then bring that right foot off the mat about where your left hand is. And then roll open to this revolve side plank. Open it up. That's one of the things that we're working on. We're working on a couple things in this practice. The grounding, which is going to be with your feet in your hand, and then the opening of your heart as you reach back. And you see the sky, and then release it. Come back into your high plank, and press back into child's pose. So in child's pose, sink your hips. Put a little effort into, or intention into sinking your hips lower. Because you're warm now, maybe you can go there. And then bend your elbows, press your palms together, and let your thumb knuckles come against the top of your spine right here, the base of your skull. We're going to be here 3 breaths just to let your heart rate settle back down. Maybe you army crawl those elbows a little bit farther forward to get some more opening. And then resettle your hips. Last breath. Press your way back up, downward facing dog. Lift your left leg. Bend your knee, open your hips to that left side of the mat. Send that left knee to the sky here. And before you flip, ground both hands equally to create some more twist. Press that right heel and then flip it, or stay right there.
Feet parallel to each other. Left fingertips reach to the front of your mat. Hips press up to the sky. Find your opening. Find your grounding. And then come back. Downward facing dog. And turn towards you. Shift forward into high plank. Drop your left knee. And then bring that right foot right behind your knee. So you can have your shin turned out this way, so it's a little bit of a kickstand, or you can keep it parallel. Parallel is a little bit more challenging to balance, and then reach up. Keep pressing in here. So your choice to extend your arm up, or you can extend your arm forward over your head. Either way. Find what you need here. Hold for another breath. Good. And then exhale, release. Come back into high plank. Press back into downward facing dog. Shift forward into high plank. And then find that same supported side plank. Or keep your hips lifted, arching them up towards the sky. Reach your hand up. Press down into the mat with your left hand and the blade of your left foot. Reach up. Maybe that top foot comes up. And then release it. High plank. Oh, just for fun, low plank. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, back down dog. And then find that revolved side plank. Send your left foot outside your right hand. Open it up. And then find that stretch. So in maximum distance from your right foot to your right hand. Your right fingers reach long. And release it. Come back into high plank. Press back into downward facing dog. Walk your feet, walk your heels a little bit. Back and forth. Good. Look to the top of your mat. Step or float your way to the top of the mat. Set your feet hips distance apart. And fold forward. Take your peace sign fingers, hook them around your big toes. So your thumbs face forward. Lift halfway and exhale, fold. Pulling your elbows out to the side as you pull up on those toes with your fingers. Hold for a couple breaths right here. A good opportunity to bring some length into your hamstrings. Opening here, especially at the tops. And then release. Bring your feet back together. And then find your chair pose. This is the first chair pose of our practice today. Bring your hands to the center of your heart. And then twist to your right. Hook your left elbow outside your right thigh. Inhale for length. Exhale for twist. 2 more breaths. Keep pressing your feet into the ground. Belly into your spine. Then inhale, come back up. And I'm going to turn sideways so that you can see. Stay in your chair pose. Take that left foot, set it back to the back of the mat. Come into crescent lunge. Coming all the way up into that crescent lunge. So this is a nice long lunge here. Maybe you adjust your feet so they're a little farther apart. And then interlace your thumbs over your head so that they're pulling in opposite directions. Roll your shoulders back. Lift your heart up. Go a little bit more. And then find that crescent twist. Bring your hands to your heart. Hinge forward. Twist. Same direction here as you did before. Nice and long. Now, if you need a little bit more stability, drop your left knee. Hold for another breath. Come all the way back up to the top. And then step that left foot up by the right. Fold forward. Find gorilla. So your feet are hips distance apart. Stand on your palms. So your toes are going to come up to the creases in your wrist, if they go that far. Bend your knees as much as you need. Drop your head. And then lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Your elbows come forward. You're going to really feel this, I think, in your hamstrings in a slightly different way than you did, or I feel a slightly different way than I did in the big toe hold. Step off your hands. Lift halfway. Fold forward. Find your chair pose. It works best for me to have my toes touching here so I can squeeze my thighs together for stability. Sink low, hands to heart center, twist the other way. So I'm twisting to my left, right elbow is outside my left thigh. Best effort to keep your shoulders higher than your hips, so your hips might drop a little bit more. Good. Inhale, come back up, extend out nice and long, and then take that right foot, send it to the back of the mat. Find your crescent here, other side. Send your arms up, sink your hips, and then interlace your thumbs just like we did before. Just do it the other way. So if your right thumb was in front last time, put your left thumb in front. Elbows go back, shoulders go back, hips sink. Open your heart, look up, press the right heel back, and then bring your hands to the center of your heart. Inhale for length, exhale for twist. We're going to the left. Right elbow comes outside of the left thigh. 3 breaths. Inhale, come all the way back up. Then step your right foot back up to the top of the mat. Sink down one last breath in chair. And inhale, come all the way back up. So let's find Malasana. So bring your feet a little bit more than hips distance apart. Turn the toes out and then settle in. So best effort to drop your hips straight down and keep your spine as vertical as possible. And notice where you begin to tilt forward. So I tilt forward pretty quickly, but I want you to keep your feet under your ankles under your knees. So as you come down, so you keep working on going back. And by going back, I mean shoulders going back. So this is where I started wanting to do this. So that's when I'm sort of fighting. If you want to stay there, if you want to sink a little lower, you can come up onto the balls of your feet. It's going to help you a little bit here. Yeah, good. Inhale, come all the way back up to standing. Extend your arms up. We're going to do that 5 more times with your breath. On your exhale, settle down. Slow and easy. Slow inhale, come all the way back up. Feel the expansion, a little bit of back bend at your top. And then move with your breath. I'm going to be quiet. We've got 4 more. Last one, we'll meet at the top in that star pose. Bring your arms down by your sides. Nice work. Find stork pose. So stand, feet at 12 o'clock. Press your left foot into the floor. Bring your right knee up into your heart. Okay. So just keep your arms by your sides for right now. I want you to feel this. Lift it up a little bit more. And then straighten that right foot, point your toes, flex your toes, lift, and then shift forward into airplane. Arms come back by your sides. If you prefer warrior 3, with your arms extended, you can take that. And then on your inhale, come back up to that stork pose. Arms by your side, heart open, and just set it back down. Take a breath in, and a breath out. Same thing, left side. Press that right foot in, get it grounded. Lift that left knee up nice and high. Arms by your sides, palms face forward a little bit to keep your shoulders on your back. Straighten your left leg, point your foot, flex it, lift it, point, flex, lift, and then transition, airplane, or warrior 3, whichever you prefer. Press that right foot down, turn the left toes down towards the floor. Inhale, come all the way back up into your stork. Exhale, set everything down. Nice breath in, breath out. Let's find a dancer pose here. So lift your left arm, palm faces the front of the mat. Take your right hand, grab the inside of your right foot or your ankle.
Send that knee down towards the floor. Reach up and go. Kick back, reach forward. Kick back, reach forward. A little bit more. A wall works great here. And then inhale, come all the way back up. Take a breath. Find it on the other side. Lift your right arm. Left hand grabs the inside of your left foot or ankle. Left knee goes down, and then when you're ready, hands at your hips. Reach forward, kick back. Reach forward, kick back. Open your heart. Good job, Evan. One more breath. And inhale. Bring it all the way back up. Let it go. All right, so let's, the last balance pose will be tree pose. So I'm going to offer 2 options. So we'll do 2 reps. We'll do it on each side and then go back and do it again. So you can find a regular tree pose where you just plant your foot into your other leg. Or if you want a little work with your hips here, with your hip opening, you can find a figure 4 tree and then begin to settle your hips. So it's completely up to you. I'm going to do the regular tree first and then the figure 4 second for you. So find that equal standing, get a drishti, a fixed spot, where you're sending your focus and your energy, and then bring that right foot into your left thigh, or you can bring it down on your calf. So bring your hands to your heart. Once you get your balance, open your hips towards the front of the mat. And then inhale. Jody just went for a run. Send your arms up, open your heart, look up. And a wall's a great thing here too, or a piece of furniture, and then let it all go. To switch sides, most important thing is to ground that right foot now, and then ground the left into your calf. I'm going to do it on my calf this time, on this side. So keeping the hips open, hands to my heart, thumbs connected to the sternum, and then grow your tree. Nice and tall. Lean back, look up, and then let it go. Nice work. All right, so find your true north, your feet pointing forward. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see this maybe a little bit better. So take your right foot. You can come back and do the same tree that you did on the other side if that's speaking to you. If you want a little hip opening, cross your right leg over, just like we did when we were in those bridges at the start of practice. Hands come to your heart, and then begin to sink your hips towards the floor. Now this can come into an arm balance pose here. I'm going to show you what that looks like in case you want to play with it. Okay, sink a little deeper. So you can stay here, or you can hinge at your hips, bring your hands to the floor, shift forward, keeping the left shin right on your triceps. Look forward, maybe that back foot comes up as an option. Keep your hips settled in, nice and low. And then come all the way back up. Nice work. Looking forward, finding that fixed spot, that drishti. That's where your attention goes. It's where the energy is going to flow. So it's going to come from the earth through you to that point and give you integrity in your pose. So crossing that left leg over, hands come to heart, nice and tall, flexing your left foot to protect your knee, and sink your hips towards the floor. You can find the arm balance if you want it. I'm not going to take it on this side. Sink a little bit deeper. And then inhale, come all the way back up. And set it down. Nice work. So, inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale, fold forward. We're going to work through a couple of back bends here. Step back to high plank. And I want you to lower to the floor to the count of 5. Keep your elbows in close. 4, 3, 2, 1. And just let it all settle there. Roll your hips a little side to side. And then re-engage. Pull your belly into your spine. Send your arms forward. Thumbs point towards the sky. Fingers spread. Lift your heart. Lift your legs. For locust pose. Superhero locust. For 3. Lift a little bit more. 2, 1. Set it down, rest on your right ear. Rock your hips a little bit side to side. You can windshield wiper your feet if you want. And then come back to center. So we're gonna do this one a little bit differently. So this time, you're gonna press your feet down into the floor, okay? So the tops of your feet, your quads, everything's pressed down in. Draw your belly into your spine, and this time just lift your heart. It feels a little different. Extend your arms long, then open your arms into a T. And then either stay here or interlace them behind you, and wherever you choose to be, then lift your legs. Hold for 3, 2, a little bit more, 1, and let it all go. Bring your left ear down to the mat. Rock your hips a little bit side to side. And then press your way back up through tabletop. Come up to your knees, and we're going to do half camel. So I was just reminded of this pose on Saturday. So stack your right ankle underneath your right knee. You're going to sit down, and then tuck you can leave the top of your foot down if you really want the challenge, but I'm going to tuck mine to start with. So you're pressing both hands down onto your thigh here. Lift your heart, and then take that left hand, reach back, and set it on your heel, or on your Achilles, or on the back of your shin, wherever you can find. And the best effort to keep the shoulders squared to the front, so that right shoulder is going to come way back. Draw your belly into your spine, look up, see the sky. Hold for another breath, and then inhale, come all the way back up. Bring both hands to your thigh. We're going to do one more of those on this side, and we're going to do 2 on the other. Nice and tall. And extend that left arm up and back. Send your gaze up to the ceiling. The second time always feels like I understand the pose a little bit more. Dropping the right shoulder back. Inhale, come all the way back up. Nice. And then switch sides. Bring your right knee down. Step your left foot forward. Get your grounding here so that you're stacked correctly. So that's knee over ankle. Good. And then tuck or untuck for the back. And reach up with your right hand. You can keep the left hand on your thigh. Lean back. Lift up your heart. And then find that connection. Drop the left shoulder back so you're opening your heart to the sky. Drop your head if you can, if you want. And then inhale, bring it back up. Take a breath here. And one more. Belly into your spine, protect that low back. But come back up for just a second. So I want you to, as you draw your belly in here, that low spine's not going to bend very much. Most of the bending is going to come in the middle and the top part of your spine. So just try to visualize that as we move through it this time. So pelvis tucked, belly in, and now reach back. And feel that heart open. Makes a little difference to me when I am more aware of that and intentional about the belly lock. Drop the left shoulder. And then inhale, come all the way up. Nice work. Find yourself on your seat. Sit down. Come into cow face pose if you can. So bring that right knee down to the floor. Left knee stacks on top. As close as you can get to that. Yeah. And if you just go back to easy cross leg position, that's fine. But stacking it there, bringing those in, it's going to stretch out the outsides of those hips. Sit up nice and tall, and then twist to your right. Put your right hand behind your tailbone, just like we did to begin these twists. Lifting up, going, and then twist. Come back to center, and then ground your sitting bones. So if you begin to lean forward and your sitting bones come up, maybe you can sit on a block or a book or a blanket, whatever you happen to have. And then sit up nice and tall. Lead with your heart. Fold forward. So maybe your hands stay behind you to keep those sitting bones on the mat. Or maybe they walk out in front of you and find that grounding there and press the mat away.
and drop your nose down towards your, or your forehead to your knee. I'm going to be here about 3 more breaths. See what you can let go of in your hips. And walk your hands back in.
And find your twist in the other direction. So bring your right hand to your left knee, left hand comes behind you, sit up nice and tall, and look back over that shoulder. Come back to center. And now you can switch knees, just uncross and recross, or you can use the Liz method of doing this. So you can just lift up and begin to pivot around, keep your feet
Right where they are, walk your hands around behind you, and then when you come back,
you'll find the other knee on top. Yeah. Sit nice and tall here. Right hand comes to that right knee. Left hand comes behind you. We're going to twist to your left again. And you'll come back to center. Sit up nice and tall, hinging at your hips. Fold forward. Either hands behind you, hands in front of you, one or the other. It feels better to me to have my hands in front today.
last 2 breaths here. And walk your hands back in. Yeah, bring your left hand to your right knee, right hand behind you, nice and tall. And last twist of the practice, just looking back over your shoulders. Inhale, come back. Okay. Straighten your legs out in front of you on the mat. And if you've got something to sit on here, if you've got a blanket or a block, maybe you sit on it a little bit just to see what this feels like. Straighten your legs, and then exhale, fold forward. So your hands might come to your feet. You can have a slight or a big bend in your knee. And just round your back, let everything settle down right here. Inhale, come back up. Whatever you have under you, you can move it off to the side. And then find a fish pose. So you're going to extend your legs nice and long, point your toes, take the tips of your fingers, just put them right at the tops of your glutes. Walk your elbows in as close as you can. Lift your heart, point your toes, lift your heart, draw your belly in, drop your head. And pay attention to your grounding here. You're grounding into your elbows, your forearms. You feel your sternum come up, and then you're grounding in with your heels as you point your toes. One more breath. And then on your exhale, release all the way down to the mat. Pull your knees up into your heart, and then find a happy baby. Grab the outside blades of your feet. Pull your knees down towards your armpits. If your hands don't go all the way to the blades of your feet, you can grab your ankles and backs of your thighs, whatever you can get. But with an intention here of pressing your sacrum down into the mat. So you can roll a little, rock a little bit, rock and roll a little bit side to side. You find your butterfly. Soles of your feet come together, interlace your fingers outside the blades of your feet, bring your knees wide as you press your shoulders and your sacrum down into the mat. Let that go. And then extend your left leg, bring your right knee up into your heart, and then drop it over to your left side. Keep that right shoulder planted into the mat as much as you can, and then bring that right knee to the floor or towards the floor. If you have a block, you can set that right knee on the block. So you've got connection on both sides. So your gaze goes out across your right fingers. And come back into center. Pull both knees up into your heart, give them a squeeze. Extend your right leg, and then drop the left knee across your body to the right side. Guide it down there with your right hand. Again, if you need a block to set it on. It's begun to feel really good to me to have a block there so that I'm connected on both sides. And then take 3 breaths here just to get nice and long, nice and open, nice and twisted, sort of wrung out. And on your inhale, come back to center. One more big hug in. With your knees, give them a big squeeze. Lift your head up so your eye sockets come to your knees. Draw your belly to your spine. Take a breath in. And on your exhale, let it all go. Extend your feet out long, legs out long. Let your heels come to the corners of your mat, and then release them. Just let your feet drop out to the sides. Take a breath in. On your exhale, let go of your belly. Take another breath in. On your exhale, release your arms, your shoulders. Just let everything melt down into the floor. And let your awareness leave your body. Let the need to do anything just go away. And feel gravity pull down on you, every cell, every fiber of your body. And just surrender to it. You're done. You've done the work. You've done the practice. Everything else you need is right here in this rest. Take your Shavasana. Without moving, just notice your body here on your mat. Notice the length and the width and the depth of your body. Notice your breath. And from that point of awareness, begin to move your fingers, your toes,
legs. Take a stretch. Point your toes, extend your arms, your fingers. Then roll over onto your right side or your left if you prefer. Find a fetal position, draw your knees up into your heart. Let your head rest on your arm or on the mat. And notice the areas that you mentioned at the beginning of practice. Notice how they feel now. Notice if there's been a shift or not. Notice your state of mind. And identify what you want to leave here and what you want to take with you as you move off your mat. And then keep your eyes closed. Make your way up to a comfortable seat.
Bring your hands to your knees, palms down. And for the last time in practice today, feel that relationship you have with the earth. Feel that grounding. Feel the steadiness there. And then bring your hands to the center of your heart. Make that connection between your thumb and your sternum. And sit tall. Thank you guys for doing this for yourselves. Thank you for doing everything that you're doing to keep this community strong inside of Octane and around the city and around the world. It makes a difference. So lift your thumb knuckles up to the center of your forehead. Open your eyes. And we bow to each other. The light in me sees and honors the light in each of you. Namaste. 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 Nice work, guys. Give yourselves a hand.